So Saturday night main event happened, and I will say this: for Goldberg retirement, it wasn't bad. It just the only thing disappointing about the show. Well, let's just say this. I will say this: the show, unfortunately, as a whole, was not that great. It really wasn't a great show. But it definitely had a somewhat good, decent way to send off a retiring Goldberg. That's what I would say. Except, unfortunately, the way the show ended. We did actually have a good match for Goldberg. This was actually one of Goldberg's best matches recently, against Gunter. But it just unfortunately, Goldberg unfortunately retired by getting cut off by Peacock, WWE, NBC, whatever it is, because unfortunately WWE ran out of time. And this goes to show of a timing that WWE has. WWE has a freaking timing issue, okay? They legit have a timing issue where they seemingly can't freaking finish a show properly. Anyways, yeah, so WWE unfortunately ran out of time with the 2 hours they were given, and unfortunately failed on utilizing it properly. Anyways, yeah, hi. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for your late out of date Saturday night main event review. The Saturday night main event of July 12th, 2025. The same Saturday night main event. So this was WWE versus AEW night, where WWE had to counterproduct itself against AEW, which more so it's WWE's fault for actually doing it because they decided to counterproduct against AEW, but AEW still decided to counterproduct. Like they could have just been on a 8 o'clock time slot or whatever, but for a show that was also 6 hours, man, we went against two WWE shows. It went against not only NXT, but the first hour of Saturday Night Main Event. That's how long All In was, by the way. But anyways, we're gonna focus on Saturday Night Main Event first. Definitely, AEW All In review will be coming soon. I will say this: Saturday Night Main Event only had one thing to offer, and that was clearly the Goldberg match. They did try to progress some certain things, but at the end of the day, the show wasn't, unfortunately, that good. I didn't feel like it was much of a star power if they were trying to really counterproduct against AEW. But I guess because AEW decided, it seemed like AEW was only going to go 4 hours, but then they literally went 6 freaking hours, which is like freaking bananas. But regardless, yeah, we're going to focus on Saturday Main Event right now. The show started with, again, a bunch of wrestlers, just showing up, arriving to the show. First match, Randy Orton defeated Drew McIntyre. This was so they mentioned their little history from the past and whatever. I gotta tell you, man, this match definitely did not live up to supposedly being a Saturday Night Main Event match. I mean, and I will say this also about Saturday Night Main Event. Like, my God, so many commercials, I will say, which is surprising. Like, compared to like usually a show on WWE, like Saturday Night Main Event is clearly a show where they show so many fucking commercials, which is completely ridiculous. I mean, I understand you need to make money. That's how they make the freaking money, and I have no problem. It's just they're not, unfortunately, working around the commercials. Like, if you're gonna have a commercial show, like, you're supposed to work around it. Like, maybe the matches shouldn't be long certain times, and also like this, you try to have certain segments. Like, that was the beauty of like when wrestling was good. If you had again during the Attitude Aggression era, you worked around the commercials. You can't just make the commercials happen, and it takes you away from the interest. And that goes to show that a WWE problem, unfortunately, where they don't seem to know. And it's not just even WWE. It's unfortunately like a lot of wrestling promotions, even AEW, where there's, again, at times matches are too long, segments are too long, certain segments are short for or not utilized properly, or don't utilize the certain people that are best to be used. And it's a modern wrestling problem, really. I do think, with AEW, they have matches that are too long. WWE has matches that are, like, either short or not even good, utilized good enough. Or, like, the purpose of it shouldn't be that long, or even be a little shorter than usual. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not a perfect balance of timing to be used. But regardless, Randy Orton pinned Drew McIntyre after a distraction from Jelly Roll because of Logan Paul. This was not good. I'll be straight up with you. For Randy Orton Drew McIntyre match, this was like one of their least interesting matches. And again, this show, the first I was going against AEW All In. Like, seeing this match like side to side from All In, like, I gotta tell you, man, this match, like, did not even have, like, it had the star power, right? Somewhat, but definitely wasn't, like, exciting. You know, and just, like, sadly, the clear indication, the clear direction was they were trying to establish Jelly Roll involved in this, which is, like, this is freaking beneath Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. In what world is Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, they're going to have their feud involving Logan Paul and Jelly Roll? How does that make any freaking sense? You know what I mean? And now it's going to be soon official. I mean, whatever. We're going to get to it. But anyways, after the match, Randy Orton celebrates the Jelly Roll. Logan Paul punches Logan Paul, but then we see Jelly Roll actually throws around Logan Paul. He does that, but then we see McIntyre claymores Jelly Roll, and Jelly Roll is hurt. I mean, that would have been fine right there. You don't need to, like, you could have just not had Jelly Roll, like, around anymore. Like, he could just clearly been, like, you know, like, a celebrity to just be involved. That's it. But what they sadly did, and the rumors are true, is just, like, really, why is this happening? Why does it involve Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre? We do see a bunch of celebrities, or not celebrities, but we do see a bunch of wrestlers, you know, of the past show up. We also do see, like, Diamond Dallas Page, the Steiners, and all that kind of stuff. And even some of the wrestlers, obviously, like, who are not on the show, like, it's typical. Like, we see Io Sky is in the freaking crowd, typical, and, you know, we see even Blake Monroe came, Mariah May. But then we see Jade Cargill is showcased, but then Naomi attacks her. And then, there's a little brawl that happens, but then we see Nick Aldis showing, like, oh, you know, it's fitting that this is happening right now. I want to introduce you to the special referee for your match tomorrow night. Well, now, tonight, whatever. And it's Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair shows up, and I thought, like, what, is this going to be some big star that, like, but no, it's just freaking Bianca Belair, and we're supposed to care? I don't freaking know. I get it, she's involved with the story, but it's like, I don't really care much, in all honesty. But fine, you know, it is what it is. I guess it makes somewhat sense. We see Solo Sikoa defeating Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso then gets beat up by the family tree or whatever. I still confuse, like, the new bloodline as, like, the learning tree. It's just so similar of a name. But whatever. Jacob Fatu shows up and saves Jimmy Uso. He has a little confrontation with Hilo, aka the Tala Tonga. That guys, because he's tall, we got to call him Tala. Anyways, that happens, and then Jacob. Anyways, that's what happens. Couldn't really give two shits with that Jimmy Uso match, that's for sure, unfortunately. It's not even a fault of Jimmy and Solo. It's just unfortunately lack of preparation. It's just also lack of intriguement, you know? Maybe make it like a no DQ match for crying out loud. Make it something, because we've seen that match how many times, man? We then see Jelly Roll is like, oh, you know, you don't need to worry, Randy. It's okay, man. Like Randy's regrets, like, shouldn't you have not known this as a fucking wrestler, Orton? And then, like, you know, and then you see, like, Jelly Roll's like, you know, man, I'm a man. You know, I don't want them. Like, I want them. You know, I don't want to run away. I want to confront them. And then Randy Orton, like, who's a freaking wrestler, is like, yo, how about this? Me and you, SummerSlam, we team up against those two frauds. It's like, in what world would Randy Orton act like this? Like, this is not the Randy Orton we know. And, like, do they not know how to write these wrestlers anymore? Since when does Randy Orton is okay to, like, I should totally team up with a non-wrestler? Like, where's, like, the worry? You know, where is, like, why? Where's the old Randy Orton, for crying out loud, even? Like, where's the Randy Orton? Like, this is worse than 2011 Randy Orton, who's a babyface. Like, at least 2011 babyface Randy Orton actually seemed like, you know, he was Randy Orton. What is this Randy Orton? Why is Randy Orton so, like, you know, he's acting like someone like John Cena, for God's sakes? Like, how does that make any fucking sense? And then, like, how is he okay with just teaming up with Jelly Roll? Why does he come up with the idea? Like, shouldn't it be Jelly Rolls? Like, you know what, man? I want to actually fight. I actually want to wrestle, man. Like, because there's, like, stories I hear that, if you want to make people care about Jelly Roll, like, Jelly Roll, his story is, like, he's a wrestling fan, but, he learned that he can't, like, let people stop him. Screw it. Let me become a wrestler for one night. That would make some sense. But then you kind of had, like, Randy Orton trying to think about it because he doesn't want, like, Jelly Roll to get hurt. Like, where is that storytelling, man? Where is that story? How'd you have a story, for fuck's sake, with this shit? But again, it's like, at the same time, why is Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre involved with this shit? And, like, this is where the problem where I have with, like, I have no problem with celebrities, by the way, being involved with WWE. This has always happened from the beginning of WWE. WWE has always had celebrity involvement. The only problem is like, when you overuse celebrities, where they take away the spots and just, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you end up making the wrestlers look fucking weak. So we're gonna see Jelly Roll, who clearly is not a wrestler and doesn't even look like a wrestler. At least Logan Paul put in the work. You can tell he actually looks like a fucking wrestler, and he actually manages to be better than a lot of people in WWE himself, because he's made for it. Like, God made him to actually be an actual wrestler. This is the problem where it's going to lead to more celebrities being involved, and a lot of these celebrities who don't really have the look or talent to be a wrestler, they're going to be wrestling. And it's like, how does that make any fucking sense? I understand it's all about money in the day. It is all about money. But I don't even think that this is going to make fucking money for WWE. How is this going to make more money for WWE when WWE, like, clearly has not been making money even with the wrestlers they have and even the celebrity they brought before? Like, I'm just saying. Like, I don't get it. I really don't. Whatever, it's unfortunately official. We're getting a tag match at SummerSlam, which, in my opinion, just would have made more sense to do Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, once again at SummerSlam. Just build it up, like, from Saturday Night Main Event. You can even involve Jelly Roll, whatever. And you can do, like, something where, like, they have a stipulation at SummerSlam. Simple as that. Maybe in the stipulation could be, like, something, a stipulation match, and then the winner gets a shot after SummerSlam. Maybe they face the champion after SummerSlam at Clash of Paris. That's what easily could have happened. But nope. It's just, we're going to team up against, we're going to have a celebrity match where just clearly, like, Orton and McIntyre clearly are, like, two wrestlers that should be, like, in a bigger platform, and this just makes no sense. LA Knight in the third match. Yeah, the third match. LA Knight defeats Seth Rollins in a audible finish, clearly because Seth Rollins got hurt. Half of this match, I actually went to the bathroom. And since this show didn't have any women's match, I clearly didn't really care much about this, in all honesty, because unfortunately of how, like, they kind of build it, and also I kind of figured, Rollins might not really lose this match, or I didn't really think, like, much of it. Clearly the Goldberg match was the only big thing to care about, but yeah, I did came just in time and see that this happened. And yeah, unfortunately, Seth Rollins is injured. They had an audible finish. Seth Rollins literally hurt his knee after trying to do a moonsault. I already covered this earlier in a other video, a short video. And yeah, Seth Rollins couldn't continue. They literally just ended this match with a Blood Force trauma finisher with LA Knight, and he won. A really darn shame with Seth Rollins. And no, this is not a work. It's actually fucking true. It's just a real darn shame. Like, listen, I'm not a biggest, like, Seth Rollins fan, because I think like, his character is retarded and dumb, and I don't really like how he, like, cross-dresses and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think he had much direction in terms of character. But in the end of the day, I do feel bad for Seth Rollins. I hope Seth Rollins is okay. But it does look like he's injured. I hope nothing but a speedy recovery. He is a good wrestler, don't get me wrong. I just think that now, after thinking about it, like, his in-ring style could be very dangerous for a guy his age. Or just, it's not effective anymore where he should be doing the things he does. He should kind of really dial it back a bit, because it's just, like, useless. And now, because of that, and the unfortunate modern style of wrestling, this is why you're getting hurt. So this guy cut it with the freaking flips, and actually freaking know how to wrestle for like not only for longevity, but save the moments for like for the future. It's just clear that this is just the match wasn't even that special anyways. So like even like watching back when I watched back some of the match, like it wasn't even that great anyways. You know what I mean? So it was like not it's just not lack of importance. So in the end of the day, there was no reason for this match to be the way it was. So yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate official. I have the possibility I could go to SummerSlam and this is what's gonna happen. Like I really would rather see Orton and McIntyre going at 1-on-1, and LA Knight could. I mean, Logan Paul be do something else. He can even just be the one just facing Jelly Roll himself for crying out loud. Oh, like come on. And yes, Seth Rollins' injury, he might be out for 10 to 12 months if it's like it seems like it's very serious. What does that mean for him as a Mr. Money in the Bank? As for Mr. Money in the Bank, he's gonna have to probably unless there's no reason for him to lose the Money in the Bank. He can probably come back under that. He still has a year, so you can have that as a way hey, he returns, he instantly wins the WWE title, not a problem. Maybe you could do a long-term story where maybe his match against LA Knight could lead to a future story where LA Knight eventually becomes WWE champion. He can cash in on LA Knight. Something like that, You don't need to necessarily have Seth Rollins lose the Money in the Bank. But if he's going to have a very, very long time, then they might have to probably give away the Money in the Bank and give it to someone else. So, I don't know. They got to think of something, clearly. Now let's talk about the main event. I reacted to this match on my YouTube. You could check the video on my channel, my live reaction. This match, the main event, not Goldberg. Well, it would actually be kind of funny, but Gunter did defeat Goldberg. It was actually the match was longer than people thought it would be. I'm surprised the match was actually longer than it was going to be. But maybe thinking about it, maybe the match should have been a little shorter because it left some time for Goldberg to talk on the mic. I did found his speech outside of YouTube, where the full speech. I will mention that. I will talk about it a little bit. But yeah, this match, man, was actually not bad. This was probably one of the longest Goldberg matches in recent memory. The last time we seen a match that was long with Goldberg was the Crown Jewel match against Bobby Lashley in that No Holds Barred match. And I say, this was not a bad match. This was actually a good match. I liked the match. I liked, the Goldberg no sell, just showing that he's badass. And you see, that worked for him because he looks the part, Goldberg then got his knee worked on by Gunter, which definitely goes to show some in-ring psychology, working on the knee. I like that. It's old school type of shit. I liked it. The reason why I didn't care about this match because of the star power and I actually cared for it, because of star power and, it being last match for Goldberg. So at least it's something, there's a reason to care. Goldberg did some power moves. I like it. I like how he didn't. He did more than a spear and a jackhammer for Christ's sakes. Everybody wants to complain about Goldberg doing only just 2 moves. Who cares? At least he actually knows how to move and actually does wrestling moves compared to all these kicks and flippy wrestlers. And he doesn't get freaking hurt easily. He speared the referee. He speared Charles Robinson. Because of Gunter. But then Gunter ate a spear and then a jackhammer eventually. Right after Gunter confronts Gage Goldberg, which Goldberg's son. Gunter kicked out, but then eventually Goldberg got caught in the choke. Eventually, got choked out and passed out. But then Goldberg he survived it right after that. He woke up a minute afterwards. If that's the case, Goldberg should have been knocked out from that. Or what I would have done, is I thought the finish was okay. It's just I would like to even if that's the case, I would like to with Goldberg, he should have had ate some maybe 2 power bombs, and then the choke. That would have been a way better finish. I would say I would have liked maybe if Goldberg got a chance to kick out of a power bomb. You know what I mean? or even try to even do like maybe one more spear, but he couldn't like pin Gunter because his like knee. I would have liked that more of a storyteller because of his knee gave out. He can't really pin Gunter. I would have liked that. I mean, they did have that little moment where he struggled to pin Gunter right after his knee and the referee was knocked out. Another referee came, so whatever. I mean, I just what I would have changed is like, after the jackhammer. We would have had Goldberg trying to spear Gunter again, but then knee given out. But then Gunter does a power bomb. Goldberg would have kicked out. Then we would see one power bomb more, maybe, and then he could have get pinned. Because that would make more sense. I would say if Goldberg was going to get up right after the match, just eat a pin, and then Gunter wins, or maybe just another power bomb and a choke. I would have been fine with that. I did like, how like Goldberg was trying to get back up with the choke, though. I would have preferred if they waited last, right after maybe a few more moves by Gunter. But other than that, man, I will say this. I'm not trying to complain. I just think, like, it would have made a better match. But regardless, man, Goldberg going out with actually a decent match, with a good match. A good TV match, by the way, This was Goldberg's like first and last TV match since he returned in his second run. I'm not considering this really a third run. I don't know. It's just like since he left the WWE back in 2004, this was his first TV match and now going to be last. So it's pretty cool for a Saturday Night Main Event show. Yeah. Then the show went to commercial, and I was like, wow, like are they really ending the show with like a commercial? But then they came back. Goldberg had they had DDP, the Steiners and stuff, his family, some friends. They were in the ring. Again, I liked his entrance. He involved former WCW security, so it was kind of cool to see that. We saw in the ring. So they ended the show where Goldberg saying, "Thank you. I couldn't think of doing without you, fans. I love you." But unfortunately, the show did cut because they ran out of time. Who's to blame for this? Well, I would say it's not just WWE, it is also Peacock. Unfortunately, Peacock did not want to give more time. They want to give some time for some fucking weather shit. Well, it's not like it's like live weather report. They're just talking about some like tornado stories, but like whatever. It's just like, this is definitely WWE's fault for not knowing how to pace their shows, or like, this is also just like wrestling shows in general. They don't know how to pace a show anymore to work around the time. Because again, you're a TV show, for crying out loud. You gotta know how to work around a TV show. And, like, they should have honestly had more time, or maybe they should have cut certain things from the show. Because now they lost the timing, where unfortunately affected Goldberg's time to speak. If you see on the YouTube channel, there has been uploads of, like, people who were in the show. They uploaded Goldberg's speech, and he was like, how he thanks the fans. He couldn't think without anybody. He loves the fans. He's sorry that he lost in Georgia, his hometown. He has never lost before, but, he's not going down. There won't be another Goldberg. But, maybe there's only one person who could probably step in the shoes as his son. And how he's a proud father, proud husband. He loves his wife, thanks his wife. He's very grateful to life. And he says how everyone should be respectful. And everyone should always treat everyone with respect. No matter what color, gender, whatever. And also, he kind of also acknowledged the victims in Texas and how people are less fortunate, how we should always care for and support everybody. He mentioned the Texas flood victims, which was pretty cool. And which, by the way, God bless. My condolences goes out to the Texas victims. Hope everyone's doing all right, and rest in peace to the victims. God bless everyone in Texas. I hope all y'all doing okay in Texas. I want to take that moment of time as well to say that. And yeah, and he's like, mic drop. He said mic drop, and he's like, yeah, basically, thank you all, mic drop. That was what I saw from the YouTube, and got from the YouTube side of things, and I will say it was a fine speech. It would have been nice to end the show with that, but sadly they didn't. They had something with Cody Rhodes after the show also, which, it's nice to see something like that. It would have been nice to see, like, some, like, his other rivals too, but at the end of the day, it's cool, like, what they got, what they were able to do, I would say. In the end of the day, thank you, Goldberg, for a hell of a awesome, badass career. You unfortunately got a lot of hate from the Smarks, but at the end of the day, man, Goldberg, I love Goldberg. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I think Goldberg is actually a good wrestler. And he's a badass. He lives up to what he is, and the key thing, like, he is actually good. if he wasn't good, WWE at the time would not have made a parody of Goldberg. Goldberg was a badass. Goldberg kicked ass. Goldberg was everything what his character was. And he actually is a good talker. I'm not saying he didn't have faults. Maybe he botches sometimes, but like the argument to say that he was dangerous to work with is so fucking stupid. When like there's literally people, and I actually noticed firsthand, there's actually people who are more dangerous to work with. Okay, and guess what? Those people are actually not hired, and if they are hired, they eventually get released. Okay. Goldberg, if anything, is an intense worker, okay? And that's honestly pretty cool. Like, a guy like him is actually an intense worker. And if he really wanted to try, maybe he actually could have beat somebody. If people want to say how he could actually hurt people, if he supposedly could hurt someone with his intense work rate, he could probably hurt people in real life. So, like, don't say, like, he's, like, a fucking dangerous worker. He probably could actually kick people's ass, for God's sakes, man. Obviously, people want to look back and hate on him because of, like, matches like The Undertaker, recent memory, and all that kind of shit. But it's like, hey, it's both, that had to, like, take the blame. And it is unfortunate the working conditions. And then just so you know, we all have our off days. In the end of the day, Goldberg was a draw. Goldberg brought in people. He brought intriguement. He brought excitement. He definitely brought some excitement since 2016. When he came back to have his feud with Brock again, it was pretty cool. And god damn it, one of the best matches in recent memory for a short WrestleMania match was fucking awesome too. Two short great matches. Heck, his short matches are really an event. They're awesome. And who fucking cares if they're short, And it's a lost art, I think, with matches nowadays, where matches are like being short and awesome at the same time. You could be a short match but awesome. It's like maximize your minutes, for Christ's sakes. Goldberg had a great career. Definitely his WWE run was decent. Both runs. Definitely, obviously, an iconic WCW career. Great match with Diamond Dallas Page, obviously. I don't think we could really talk much about the Bret Hart thing, but still, the guy can actually work too, Other than that, man, it's great to see Goldberg do, Goldberg's a badass. God bless him. Obviously, hope, have a good retirement, Maybe his son will take over. He could be something. But at the end of the day, man, thank you, Goldberg, for the memories. God bless. And this was actually a good way to, it was a decent way to retire a good match. It just sucked that WWE kind of fucked up with their getting cut off. But it was okay, Now, sadly, one less cool wrestler in the world, where, unfortunately, wrestling is slowly dying with all these fucking modern wrestlers. A lot of these modern wrestlers are shit. Less star power, unfortunately. Eventually, you're going to lose John Cena. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to lose John Cena, unfortunately. Yeah, a lot of the old cool wrestlers are going away, man. It's just going to be these new breed garbage wrestlers who can't draw a fucking dime. Like, that's for fucking sure. Other than that, man, thank you guys for watching. I enjoyed the last career Goldberg, seeing him. It was definitely something, for this crazy wrestling weekend, this crazy day of wrestling. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired of wrestling already. I don't think I'm totally not gonna give a fuck about the Evolution show. But regardless, man, for what they try to do is decent, but just they really fucked up with the ending. But yeah, other than the Goldberg stuff, the show really had less to be desired. Was it a terrible show? It's not all terrible, but it definitely was disappointing. It definitely wasn't really that exciting. I mean, on paper, the show wasn't that bad, but unfortunately, the execution was just, mediocre. So it was unfortunately a somewhat, mediocre show. It was only just Goldberg really that was like good. But unfortunately, they still fucked it up. So that's part of WWE's fault. Man, and yeah, there were so many commercials, that's for sure. Again, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just like, unfortunately, WWE does not know how to pace themselves properly to, work around that. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. But regardless, man, Saturday main event this time just wasn't that good. But definitely the Goldberg stuff was pretty cool. So, unfortunately, it just results in the show being a little mediocre. So, that's all I have to say. Till next time, peace. Yeah, bye. Thank you, Bill Goldberg.